The Detroit Tigers take two on the 4th of July, all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. Make your moment sparkle with the jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Tigers listeners are getting $50 off of purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use code LOCKEDON at checkout. Okay. Tigers take two, baby. That's a good day at the office. Can't get much better than going 2-0 in one day. This team, man, unbelievable. Hey, let's go drop 2 of 3, and probably should have been 3 of 3. Probably were a mere couple of outs away from getting swept by Kansas City, who's one of the worst teams in baseball. Let's turn around and just punch the second best team in our division, and a team that's over 500 right in the mouth. Take 2 in one day, and both of our starters are dudes that started off the season in Double A or lower. Let's just do that. That's fun, and that makes total sense. Golly. Just what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Seriously. And like, it was a fun day, and I hope everyone had a fantastic 4th of July. And I'm actually recording this the night of the 4th still, obviously. And there's a lot of fireworks like right out this window. So if you hear some of that gets picked up, not much I can do about it. I'm sorry. But yeah, the Tigers take 2. Not bad. Not bad, kid. Not bad. Some pretty interesting performances by well, we're gonna have to talk about the pitching. That's really the biggest thing. Both games, starting pitching wise, right? We had Garrett Hill make his major league debut and looked absolutely fantastic. We will get into all of that. And then Alex Vito, who started, looked good for a couple of innings, then imploded in the 4th, and then didn't even make it out of the 4th due to an injury that they are calling right hip soreness. So there is your Alex Vito update. That's all I know at the time of recording, which is a little bit before midnight on the 4th, going into the 5th. That's the only update we have at the present moment for Vito. He is returned to Toledo, so if he gets hurt or goes on an injured list of some sort, it would be in the AAA IL, and the intention is that he will come back and then start in the other doubleheader we have in a week from today, week from tomorrow, week from yesterday as you're listening to this, one of those ish days. Um, so that'll be something to keep an eye out for. If it's a long-term, like actual serious injury, then like we're gonna have an issue because we literally are out of starting pitchers. Drew Hutchinson is back again, right? Like he's literally back. He just keeps getting DFA'd and then released and then put on waivers and then just returns, and that's like his thing. And it has to happen because everybody is hurt in the starting rotation, and everybody that could possibly get called up really has been. I mean, we don't really have that many other options, so kind of has to we just have to keep riding the Drew Hutchinson train. So he will start today as you're listening to this. He will start on Tuesday. To make room for him, Will Vest has been sent down. Will Vest, the last 3 weeks, has struggled a lot more. His ERA is really high, and somebody on I forget who, so that's my fault, but somebody on Twitter pointed out that the reason his ERA was so high over the last like 2.5 weeks was really just because of one outing where he gave up like 5 runs, which is totally fair when it comes to his ERA. However, he is walking like almost a person an inning right now over that same stretch. So even if you just completely null the ERA and just throw that completely to the side, he's walking a ton of batters and he's not striking out enough to really compensate for it. He has more walks than Ks since June 13th, I believe. So not a great stretch. Just has really lost his command lately. We've talked about it on here. His last few outings, we've talked openly about the fact that his command has really faded. So he'll go back down. We have to remember that anything we get out of this dude is kind of just like icing. Like he was a Rule 5 pick from. He was in our organization. Then Seattle picked him in the Rule 5 last year, and he had like a 6.5 ERA halfway through the season, and they sent him back to us for nothing. They were like, yeah, like this, was a failed Rule 5 pick. And when you cut somebody that was a Rule 5 pick, they go back to their original team. So then he just came back and then just made the team out of camp because he looked really good and shoved the first half of the season. So props to him for making a season out of it. I mean, he still has a sub-4 ERA on the year. Like big ups, and I hope he comes back and everything. But anything we really get out of him is unexpected. So testament to a good bullpen that a guy with a sub-4 is getting sent down, but also has definitely struggled over the last 2 weeks as well. So kind of both in play there. I guess I'm doing all the roster move stuff at the beginning. I was planning on saving that at the end, but here we are. Alex Vito, we already talked about right hip soreness. Garrett Hill has not been sent back yet. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on for. Obviously, we all knew Faedo was going to because he was the 27th man and it's only 26-man rosters. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with Garrett Hill because he is technically still on the team as of right now. So, I mean, when Drew Hutchinson like officially makes the Major League roster, maybe then it'll just be Garrett Hill will be an anticlimactic thing. But we'll see. I mean, they optioned Will Vest so to make room for Drew, so I guess you have that. But it's just long term. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Garrett Hill if that's someone that they send back down or whether he stays because he did look so good. I think that's all of the roster move stuff. Will Vest for Drew Hutchinson. I think I misspoke like 30 seconds ago and said it might be Garrett Hill. Will Vest is optioned, and Drew Hutchinson will take his place. We also have to look at 40-man roster stuff. There's a couple of dudes in the 40-man that like aren't big name prospects. They're just kind of depth pieces down there in AAA. So I don't think it's going to be a climatic thing when they have to find a spot to add Drew Hutchinson back to the 40. I think it's just going to be one of those guys. Or even with moving Matt Manning to the 60, that opens up a 40-man spot. Like that won't be like a big deal. Whatever they do with it to make room for him won't be a big thing. That'll be a pretty small news piece. I think that's it. So there you go. Like I said, I intended on waiting, saving that till the end of the show and doing the final segment on that. But here we are. So there's all your roster moves. Tigers take 2. We'll start with the offense in these 2 games. Tigers scored 5 and 4 in the 2 games, right? I think that's right. Yeah, 4-1 and 5-3. I thought the offense played pretty well. I mean, the first game, I guess we can do game by game. I guess that works. The first game they took 4-1. They had 10 hits, 4 runs, and only 1 extra base hit, which, as we all know, drives me absolutely up a wall. Had 1, 2, 3 walks on top of that, so 13 base runners and 4 runs. That's not terrible. Like I said, only 1 extra base hit. The only extra base hit being the Tucker Barnhart double. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just the same old story. Like the pitching was good enough in this one to get us over the hump and to keep our head above the water so that we can hold on to the victory here. But this is like pretty same old stuff. I mean, the biggest thing in this one was taking advantage of some pretty poor catching by the Guardians. A lot of wild pitches and stuff. Not maybe not technically wild pitches, but pitches that were very hard to get in front of behind the dish for catchers as well. A lot of pretty aggressive base running that led to runners in scoring position, that then led to only singles being needed to drive in those runners. And Miguel Cabrera, even in his old age and even in the age in which he has zero power to speak of whatsoever, and it's pretty much only singles, he is still as clutch as it gets. And anytime there's a runner in scoring position, he's driving him home. And it might be a single up the middle. It might be a single that barely squeaks through the right side, but it's going to happen. And he's still the man. So that's really all that today came down to. 13 base runners, 4 runs, and 2 of those 4 runs were in very early in the first inning of the game, right on that Miguel Cabrera single, with runners on second and third after some aggressive base running there, got the runner over to second. So we'll take it, but need to start hitting the ball further. And in the second game, we saw a little bit more power. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about some individual performances as well. First, though, I got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Blue Nile. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft her perfect engagement ring. Each ring is truly one of a kind. If you're looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Make your moment sparkle with the jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Tigers listeners are getting $50 off of purchases $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement, so use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, it ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. So you can shop stress-free and find your forever piece at BlueNile.com today. All right, everybody. We are back here for our second segment of Locked On Tigers. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Let's wrap up the offensive side of things first. The big story offensively in the whole day was Jonathan Scope was prime Barry Bonds. That's one of the biggest heaters I've ever seen anyone go on in a doubleheader. Like that, like ever, like that I've seriously ever seen. At one point, he was 6 for 6 with a walk. He had reached in his first 7 plate appearances of the day. He had reached base in all 7. And they weren't all cheapies either. I mean, there was a couple like soft hit singles kind of that fell into the outfield, but he was ripping the ball, even the ball that he grounded out on when they finally did record an out in like the whatever 5th inning, 6th inning of game 2. The first time they finally got him out, it was like 104-mile-an-hour ground out. Like he was, jeez, that was loud. He was seeing the ball incredibly well. In game 1, he goes 4 for 4 with 2 runs scored. Like I said, in game 1, there was only 1 extra base hit in our 13 base runners. So he was 4 for 4 with 4 singles. However, we will take what we can get from Scopey at this point. He's had a really, really rough start to the year. Went on a little like 2-week heater back in May. And besides that, has been dreadful pretty much from opening day to now. So really good to see him just entire day have a nice day. It's sad because he's literally the best defender in baseball right now. Statistically, I know, you analytics, whatever, if you watch so and so, they're better, whatever, that's fine. I'm just saying the numbers say that he is straight up the best defender in baseball of like pretty much any position. His outs above averaged are insanely high at the moment. His DRS is really solid. If the season ended today, he would probably unanimously win Gold Glove at second base. And I'm pretty sure he's leading all Tigers hitters in F-WAR, in Fangraph's version of WAR, which is remarkable considering he has like geez, that's really loud. Considering he has like a coming into the day, had a sub 550 OPS, but was still leading the team in WAR because of how insane he's been defensively. So like, it's just been really frustrating because if he could just give us any offense, he would be the most valuable player on the team and would be an unbelievable piece to this lineup. But him, like so many other people, as we all know in this lineup, has really struggled out of the gate. So it was good to see him get a couple of knocks. Who else? Cody Clemens had a hit in game one. That was nice. Tucker Barnhart, I mean, him just getting a hit. He had a walk in that game in game one as well. Just that in general is nice to see. And then Eric Haas in game two obviously hits the big home run. Looked really good at the plate, I thought, really honestly all game. He is finally coming around. That's so awesome. And I said this last week, but I'll say it again. There was one point in June where I came on the show and talked about how I'm not really sure how many days Eric Haas had left at the major league level because he was struggling so much at both sides of the ball. So it's really, really good to see. He has certainly erased any doubt of that, and he's on an absolute heater. Been crushing the ball for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully will continue to do so because our other catcher is like literally one of the worst qualified. Well, he's not technically qualified, but is has one of the lowest OPSs amongst players in the entire sport. So we're gonna need some offense from somewhere. I'm glad that Eric Haas can provide it at the catcher position. And it wouldn't surprise me if they found a way to get him into the lineup more and more. Whether it's DHing on Miggy's days off, or maybe even I don't know if we really have spot for him in corner outfield anymore now the Green's up, like we did earlier in the year. But pinch hitting in games late, etc. I think that Hossie will probably see some more at bats because he's been crushing the ball. Jamer. There's an interesting discussion to be had with Jamer Candelario, and I'm not sure we're going to have it today. Actually, I know we're not going to have it today. But he goes 0 for again. And here's the thing, man. I think there is a legit conversation about his future on the team at this point. I know that sounds really dramatic, but I mean he is laboring at the plate. It's really, really he's struggling mightily. So hopefully he can turn it around. I mean, this is a dude that literally led the American League, led the American League in doubles last year. Like he was from like 2 weeks into 2020 all the way through game 162 of 2021. He was an animal and he was fantastic at the plate and turned a corner and was great. And this year he has been really brutal. So hopefully he can turn it around, just like we talked about with Hossie and stuff. Maybe if I just talk like smack about players on here, they just like figure it out and turn it around. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. I'm hoping, but I mean, there's a serious conversation about what to do with him in the offseason that we will have on an off day or maybe around the trade deadline or something, because he's really struggled at the plate. Javi, one hit, pretty clutch hit, got an RBI there in game one. I don't still the slider low and away stuff, whatever. Riley Green continues to be great. Drove in a couple of runs, had a couple of hits. Just doesn't look too. The moment never seems too big for him. You always have confidence in him. Like I maybe have the most confidence in him in this entire lineup, and he's played less than 20 games as a major league player. And I think I want him to bat leadoff every game. A, he has the speed to, right? But B, if you're leading off, you are getting more at bats than anyone in the lineup. I want the person that I have the most confidence in. I want the player that I think gives the best at bats. I want my best hitter to be batting 1 or 2 because those dudes get more at bats than everyone else on the team. I want the bat in my best hitter's hands more than any other player. Riley Green is currently the player that I have the most confidence in the batter's box. So yeah, bat him leadoff. I want him to have more at bats than every other person on this roster. That's the reality of the situation. So in game 2, only had 2 extra base hits. One of them was a big home run that broke it open, and then Scopey had a double in game 2 as well. Scopey goes 2 for 4 in that one. So still only 2 extra base hits. Like it's still the same old. And again, you were able to have good enough pitching to keep your head above water in these 2, and that's great. But we can't act like everything was fixed right? Like the problems are all still there. The problems persisted. It's just we were able to overcome them. Not necessarily they didn't lose us the games today. That's really all it came down to. The lack of power and the offensive issues that we've had all season were still very much in play. They just didn't cost us today. That's all. And then like that might sound super pessimistic, but that's the reality of the situation. So shout out to the pitching. We'll talk about Garrett Hill in the final segment. We'll end on a positive note. But I'm not gonna expect to win too many double headers in which we have 3 total extra base hits across both double headers. But we'll take it. We'll gladly take it. It was a great day of baseball. We'll gladly take it. So we'll talk about the pitching in the 2 games after I tell you all about our friends over at rockauto.com. With the ever increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts that you need. So why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders parts on their computer, choosing only the parts their warehouse happens to carry? It just does not make sense. You have computers, you have your smartphone, you have access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why would you choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more from the chain store or car dealership? Just doesn't make sense. Rock Auto is a family business. They've been serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer. They have everything you could need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even a new carpet. So go explore their easy-to-use website today. Find the solution for your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck, and write "Locked On" in the "How did you hear about us" box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. All right, everybody. We are back here for our third and final segment at Locked On Tigers. Let's get to the pitching side of things. We talked about the offense. Torkelson, I guess. He only played in game 2, had a nice hit up the middle. It was caught the heart of the plate and he hit the ball and got on base. That in itself is an accomplishment. I don't know. I don't know. The swing and miss stuff seems to be like not as bad over the last 3 or 4 days, but like I also still don't really have any confidence, and I'm not sure he has a ton of confidence in the box right now. We'll see. We'll see. But over the last like 3 or 4 days, it's kind of looked like his timing is at least starting to, and like I said that in May too, when he went on like a week stretch where he was hitting decently. So like I don't just want to keep saying that every at the slight sign of life from Torque, but like over the weekend, I guess if I had to say if I had to say anything about him over the last like 4 games, it would be that I think he's looked at least a little better in that stretch. So we'll see if it amounts to anything. Okay, pitching side of things, we'll start with Vito because that's a lot quicker. 3 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, and 3 Ks. Look, if the injury thing is what was legitimate and he had that hip soreness or whatever, and that affected his ability to replicate his mechanics and to throw the ball, like obviously that'll do it. Because in the first couple of innings, he was pretty solid. Like in the first 3 innings, I was pretty impressed. I guess I would say impressed. Like he wasn't blowing anybody away, but he looked solid in the first 3 innings at least. Had 3 innings of shutout ball. I mean, you can't ask for too much better than that. And then the 4th inning was just a complete implosion. And he it wasn't even like he was getting rocked, like the ball was getting hit super hard. He gave up 1 rope, but I mean, besides that, it was mostly just no ability to throw strikes. Lost complete feel of the changeup, lost complete feel of the slider there before he got pulled, a couple of batters before he got pulled. And then even the fastball he was pulling, the release point was all off on the 4-seam. And again, maybe that was the injury, but it led to a pretty disappointing outing. So we'll keep an eye on him. We'll keep an injury update on him, and he will be back in Toledo for the time being, at least until the next doubleheader next week, I believe. So not too much to report on, just an injury that reported injury that led to him struggling mightily throwing strikes. His velocity was also down a ton, especially on the fastball, like a whole mile an hour on average pitch velocity with it. So um, hopefully he's okay. That's really all there is. I mean, a rookie coming off Tommy John. I know it's his hip, it's not his arm, so that's good at least. But anytime you get a rookie that's already coming off Tommy John, you want to play that extra careful. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep you updated with that. The other one though, Garrett Hill. Or do we say? I keep saying his name, and then I go, "Oh, maybe we should go to somebody else." I'm sorry, that's the ADHD within me. I think I want to do bullpen first. I'm really, really sorry. I don't mean to keep pump faking it like that. Tyler Alexander, I thought was sensational. He looked really, really solid in the second game, and that is the role in which he can thrive. Look, he doesn't have crazy uh, swing and miss stuff. He doesn't have crazy miss bat stuff, but he has very solid miss barrel stuff. And he can induce soft contact till the cows come home. And it's valuable. It's valuable to have a dude that you can go to when your starter gets hurt or gets rocked, or you just need to put, gum on the leak. Like you need a guy that you can just throw out there. And it's really, really nice to have him in the bullpen. And that's was my thing all offseason. People kind of painted me as this like Tyler Alexander hater, which is absolutely not true. I love the dude. I think he's much better in this role than he is on every fifth day starting pitcher, which is what some people thought he was in the offseason. So now that we're here and you're seeing some results, this was a very, very good outing. And he's been pretty solid since he came back from injury. His cutter specifically, really, really good pitch in this one. Really effective. Alex Lang, nasty Alex, baby. He's back. 1 inning, struck out the side, perfect inning. He got a little command, got a little away from him in the J Ram at bat, but ended up getting the strikeout anyway. And then besides that, it was just complete lockdown. 14 pitches, 10 strikes, ERA back down to 2.08. He's so good. He's so good. Like it's unbelievable how good Alex Lang is actually. So with percentage of 71% in an inning. Not bad, And then Joe Jimenez. I loved this decision. I loved it. I know Alex Lang, I sing his praises all the time, and I love the dude, but Joe Jimenez absolutely deserved to get the ninth inning in this one. He is the if you weren't going to go to Greg twice in a day, which you never were going to, Joe was my pick. He was number 2, ahead of Fulmer, ahead of Lang. I really wanted to see Joe Jimenez get the ninth inning in a game in a safe situation, and he was fantastic. And this just continues this storyline of, outside of I think 2 outings all year, Joe Jimenez has been complete nails at the back end of this bullpen. And it's been really, really impressive to watch. And it's really, really nice to see, because the last time that people had really high expectations of Joe Jimenez was like 3 years ago. So it's nice to see him come around and take steps forward and be effective again, because it's been really fun to watch. And that fastball slider pitch mix he has is pretty lethal when he executes it well. Then in game 1 out of the pen, Andrew Chafin looked solid. Michael Fulmer looked really solid. That cutter slider thing, man, it's nasty. It's so filthy. And then Gregory Soto. I mean, I personally, and this is not me like just trying to stick up for my dude here. Like I was never freaking out about this. Like I know he walked 2 people and whatever, like the tying run was at the plate, but I at no point was I ever like, oh my, like he might blow this one. Like I don't know. Maybe that's naive of me. But at the end of the day, even though he does walk a lot of batters, and even though he is crazy with command, and he has his moments where he gives you a little bit of a palpitation. Um, at the end of the day, his save percentage and the rate in which he executes and finishes games with the lead intact is actually still very high, and he's only blown a couple of saves all year. So they've been catastrophic and beautiful, but it's only a few. So solid at least, and the problems that he has still persist, and everything I said in the last one is still very true. Last time we broke down Soto, all still very true. My opinion has not changed on any of that, but Good to see him at least close the door. Okay, now let's get to Garrett Hill and then we'll end the show. Garrett Hill was absolutely phenomenal. He was spectacular. And this is just continues this I don't even want to say narrative, because narrative almost has like a negative connotation, but just um this thing that's happened this year, where like this next man up mentality that the team has been forced to kind of utilize within the starting rotation, and how effective people just continue to be. And I think part of that, a large part of that, is Chris Fetter. But I also think, I mean, obviously, the majority of the credit goes to the players. And I think Chris Fetter does deserve credit. But I also think, just on top of that, the system is getting insurmountably better at developing pitchers. And I don't think that it's some, like the Guardians, the team we just played, is a factory, is a pitching factory. And the Dodgers are excellent, and the Rays are excellent. So like, I'm not saying we're in the upper echelon of like the best in baseball, but it's certainly a whole heck of a lot better than it was 3, 4, 5 years ago, like insurmountably. So I think that the system in place in the minors deserves a lot of credit as well. But Garrett Hill goes 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts, 78 pitches. 52 of them were strikes. That is a 1.5 ERA in his major league career so far. Only 5 whiffs, not a very high number at all. No, not going to sugarcoat that. It's not necessarily bad. You can have good performances without getting a lot of whiffs, and that's exactly what happened. CSW percentage, called strikes plus whiffs, was 26%. That's a little low, but it's, over 1 of every 4 pitches was either a called strike or a swing and miss strike. So it's not an unbelievably low number, but you'd like it to be a little higher ideally. But really, the biggest thing for this one was, I mean, we talk about it all the time, right? The 4 types of pitches that I identify, right? You have swing and miss stuff. You have swing and miss and make you look stupid stuff. You have barrel missing stuff, and you have stuff that doesn't miss anything and it gets crushed and gets barreled up. He was excellent at missing barrels in this one. The average exit velocity was 87 miles an hour. That's not unbelievably, like Hall of Fame, put it in Cooperstown number, but anything sub 90 is usually a pretty decent day at the office. And his was sub 88. So solid there. And there were, 3 or 4 balls that were hit over 100 miles an hour for sure. It wasn't a master class. It wasn't, he did get barreled, but it was just a really good display of pitch mix and missing barrels. And I love the pitch mix more than anything in the planet. I was so unbelievably impressed with it. He threw 78 pitches, right? He had 5 different pitches that Baseball Savant says that he threw, right? 5 different pitches. Those 5 pitches, all of them were thrown 9 or more times. Listen to this. Sinker 24 times. That's less than 33%, so less than 1/3 of the time. 4-seam fastball 21 times, changeup 14, cutter 10, curveball 9. That's that makes me drool. That makes me want to do a dance like that. That's phenomenal. He was so good, and I personally was so thrilled that they let Barnhart catch for him. I think Chucker Barnhart is a leader behind the dish there, and given all of his struggles offensively, which he absolutely has, and he will admit is very true. He burned his bat a couple of weeks ago. That doesn't take away from the fact that he is a really good game caller, and I agree with most of his game calling. I'd say about 70 to 80% of the time, I agree with the games that he calls. So this one was a masterclass by Kitcher, by pitcher and catcher. There you go. When you mix those together, you get a Kitcher. And it was a masterclass by both of them. So really well called game, really good pitch mix, really well executed. His fastball command was really, really solid. He was dotting pitches on the black. He hung a couple, right? We talked about the changeup before his start and how effective of a pitch it was. On the broadcast, they called it a splitter, which I thought was fascinating, because that's not something that I had really. I mean, it can get into the mid 80s for sure, but that's not something that I was expecting, was them to call. They kind of separated them at times too. It was kind of weird. And not necessarily that it's like 100% wrong and whatever, but I just thought it was interesting. So yeah, he left one of those up right to Josh Naylor, who took it, 900 feet to right field and stuff. So it wasn't a perfect outing by any stretch, but I'm not sure how you could ask for too much more. He was absolutely phenomenal. And for a guy who has been so heavily reliant on his strikeouts in the minors to come up and not have the swing and miss like major league stuff right away that can get you net you a ton of Ks at the major league level, and still just keep pounding the strike zone, challenge hitters, um, and effectively miss barrels. Unbelievably impressive, for real. Unbelievably impressive. So Garrett Hill deserves all the credit in the world. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him roster wise going forward, as we still do have a plethora of starting pitching injuries. We'll see. It'll be interesting, but I think Garrett Hill's probably deserved to be an option, at least at this point. So good on him. Really good on him. Like I said, I was really really impressed. The spin on everything was great. The curveball spin was actually like even better than I anticipated. That curveball was nasty, eh? That thing was nice. I don't watching him in dive. I don't think I've watched him a single time in AAA yet this year, but I watched a couple of his starts in AA, and I was never like whoa, what a curveball until now, like until today. 2,800 RPM curveball. I'm like, okay, Garrett Hill's like that. He's like that. So, really, really nice to see. Really good performance. And Drafted in the same draft as Mize and Scooble. So, just like way later than even Scooble was. Good on him, man. Good on him. Really, really happy for the kid. Really, really excited. I mean, honestly, like I said, with how good he was in the minors and stuff, he'll probably be an option going forward that they'll reach back to. So, um, congrats to Garrett Hill. Big ups. And thanks for the more than a quality start and getting a win in his first game on the bump. We'll see what happens from here. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia. He's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm over time again today. I need to get better at that. But 2 games to cover, so I'm going to chalk it up to that. And some roster moves. Just a lot to go over today. Yeah, Drew Hutchinson on the bump today as you're listening to this on Tuesday. This is going up after midnight on Tuesday as well. Sorry, I got home late. I also, after both games, then watched a minor league game in person and went to that and did some stuff for that. So I'm three baseball games that these eyes saw on 4th of July. No better way to spend the 4th than just absorbing all of America's pastime all day, from pretty much when I woke up to when I went to bed. All right, I'll let you guys roll. Get out of here. I think that's all I got. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope, and I will catch y'all tomorrow. Hopefully, recapping another win over Cleveland. Go Tigers, baby.